Imagine living your entire life in a dark cave, chained and facing a blank wall. Your world is limited, confined to this gloomy hollow. Your companions are just as unfortunate as you, shackled, their gazes fixated on the same empty canvas. The only glimpse of existence comes from the mysterious shadows dancing on the cavern wall, cast by the unseen light behind you. These shadows form strange and elusive shapes, figures that become familiar over time. They morph into entities, objects, and even scenes that you and your fellow prisoners start to perceive as reality. You name them, discuss them, even argue over their nature. But these are mere illusions, unknowingly accepted as the truth. This is your world, a world of shadows where reality is a mere echo of the truth. To these prisoners, these shadows are their reality. Now, imagine one of these prisoners gets released. Suddenly he is thrust into the brightness of the outside world. The sun's intensity initially blinds him, its brilliance too stark compared to the dim flicker of the cave's fire. But slowly his eyes begin to adjust. He squints, blinks, and gradually the world comes into focus. At first his understanding is limited, still bound by the shadows that once defined his reality. But as the sun's warmth caresses his skin and the symphony of nature fills his ears, he realizes the limitations of his previous existence. He sees that the shadows were mere fragments, distorted representations of the world's true form. No longer are his perceptions confined to the silhouettes of the cave. He sees the vibrant colors of blooming flowers, the intricate design of a butterfly's wings, the vast expanse of the sky. He understands the world in its complexity and diversity. In the light of the sun, he sees the true form of the world, not just shadows. Driven by compassion, the freed prisoner returns to the cave. He descends back into the darkness, his heart heavy with the burden of knowledge. He is a stranger now, bearing the gift of truth in a realm of shadows. The prisoner, now a philosopher, attempts to share his newfound understanding. He speaks of the sun, the trees, the vastness of the sky, and the vibrancy of life beyond the cave. His words, though filled with earnestness, fall on deaf ears. His fellow prisoners, shackled in their ignorance, are unable to grasp the essence of his truth. They laugh, they mock, they dismiss him as a madman. The reality he describes is too alien, too overwhelming to comprehend. Their minds, conditioned by the shadows, reject the notion of a world beyond the cave. They cling to their familiar illusions, their comfortable lies. The philosopher's tales of the outside world seem absurd, incomprehensible, even threatening to the prisoners. Their world has been the cave, their reality the shadows. His truth threatens to shatter their illusion, to disrupt their world. Their resistance is fierce, the disbelief is palpable. The philosopher is met with ridicule, scorn, and outright hostility. His attempts to enlighten his fellow prisoners are met with fierce resistance. They prefer the comfort of their chains to the unsettling promise of freedom. His newfound knowledge is met with disbelief and ridicule, a poignant reminder of the struggle that often accompanies the pursuit of truth. This allegory, told by Plato, is a profound statement on human nature and knowledge. It presents a vivid picture of our condition. We, like the prisoners, are often bound by the chains of ignorance, gazing upon the shadows of our perceptions and mistaking them for reality. The cave, a dark and confining space, symbolizes the limitations of our sensory experiences. The shadows cast on the walls represent the distorted versions of truth we often accept as reality. These shadows are our beliefs, our assumptions, and all the things we think we know. But the story doesn't end there. Plato's allegory also tells of liberation, of enlightenment. The freed prisoner, now exposed to the outside world, represents the philosopher, the enlightened individual who has broken free from the chains of ignorance and perceived the world in its true form. His struggle to adapt to the light symbolizes the often challenging journey of seeking knowledge. However, the pursuit of knowledge isn't without its pitfalls. As the prisoner returns to enlighten others, he faces resistance. This highlights the human fear of the unknown and our resistance to change, even when it promises a fuller understanding of reality. The allegory of the cave is a timeless reminder that sometimes the reality we perceive is merely a shadow of the truth. It calls us to question, to explore, and to seek the light of knowledge, for it is only in stepping out of the cave that we can truly begin to understand the world in its full, radiant truth.